Hi everyone, welcome to Poisonous People. In the previous video, we took a look at the predatory love bombing and grooming that takes place before a victim is primed and ready for gaslighting. In this video, we are actually going to look at examples of gaslighting in the 1944 film Gaslight. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, you may not want to watch this video because it's loaded with spoilers. I'm just going to give a synopsis of some of the biggest gaslighting moments in the movie, and I will also be providing a little bit of my own analysis. Let's start our analysis with the very first gaslighting scene. This scene occurs when they decide to go on an outing, and Gregory so kindly gifts Paula with a brooch, but it was broken. And he says, we should maybe get it repaired. Perhaps it's best that you don't wear it. And he says, you know, you do have a habit of losing things. He makes it a point to take the jewelry in one hand and the bag in the other. He shows her, he says, I'm going to put this in the bag. This way you'll remember where it is. They're standing right inside their front door. The next thing you see, they're outside the front door and he's still holding the bag, and then he hands it to her. We don't see this happening on camera, but in between the time that he was inside the house and walked outside the house, he reached right inside that bag, pulled out the brooch and put it in his pocket, and then he gave the bag back to her. That is an example of old school gaslighting. He didn't just tell her, hey, you have a tendency to lose things. He engaged in what I call theatricality. He created an illusion that she really does lose things. He made a big deal of showing her that the thing was in the bag, and then he purposely took it out so that later she would notice that it was gone. And they go out to a museum, and of course she happens to look inside her bag, and she does indeed notice that it's gone. At this point, I don't think she thinks she has a tendency to lose things. But at this point, she feels a great deal of distress because he made such a display out of, now you'll know where it is. It's in this bag. Remember where you put it now. And now it's not in the bag. Throughout the entire film, he says things like, you know, you get really tired a lot. Now he's planting this idea in her head. That's also an example of gaslighting. That is not trying to get her to doubt herself. That's actually planting an idea that you get tired. And throughout the film, you keep seeing him telling her that she's tired. And then whenever she is faced with this conflicting experience versus what she's told or what she thinks, she is now programmed to just think, I must be tired. Now, over time, he's not just convincing her that she's ill, but he actually has the entire community believing that she's ill. He tells Nancy, the housemaid, you are not to disturb her. You are not to ask her any instructions. If you have any questions, you come to me. So this is what I call like micro-isolation. She's still kind of in the presence of other people. There's Elizabeth and Nancy there, but psychologically, she is being kept separate from them. He's telling them, do not talk to her, do not ask her anything. This keeps the servants from talking with her directly about things and making their own judgments as far as whether or not she really is sick. It keeps her away from the servants, so she can't compare what her husband is saying to what the servants are saying, and it also creates triangulation. So over time, he also has her convinced that she can't go out of the house because she's so ill and she's so tired. She's believing that she can't leave her home, which also keeps her isolated. But at the same time, this creates the illusion for the community that she is ill because she never leaves the house. Another thing that Gregory / Sergis does to Paula is he tells her that she keeps misplacing things. He takes pictures off the wall and tells her that she's the one who took the picture off the wall. They are invited to a party and he takes his watch off his pocket watch chain, puts it in his pocket, and in the middle of the performance tells her that his watch is missing. He gives her this very stern look, like, you did it again. You stole my watch. And it causes her so much distress that she begins to cry. The entire community can now see for themselves just how unstable she is, that she's just erupting in hysterics for no apparent reason. Nobody can see that he provoked her to have this little breakdown. So he ushers her out of the party, apologizing, and he makes it a point to say to the host, I knew we shouldn't have come tonight. She's just not well enough. You have this major operation. Everyone in town now believes that she is ill. Nobody knows what's wrong with her. Nobody goes to check on her. They just kind of take it for granted that she must be ill because A, he keeps saying it, and B, I've seen it for myself. I've seen that she never leaves the house, she never goes anywhere, and the one time she does go someplace, she erupts into hysterics. It's one thing to tell people in town, hey, my wife is ill, but it's next level to actually deliver on that claim with what looks like proof. So after they return home from this party, he begins to become very cruel towards her. And he begins to treat her alleged insanity with greater and greater impatience, incredible insensitivity, and downright cruelty. So now, on top of the anxiety and distress that she already feels because she thinks she's losing her mind, she is now having to manage his cruelty and just the stress of having your partner become very angry with you and start yelling at you. So he's breaking her down in two different ways. He's breaking her down psychologically by making her think she's losing her mind, but he's also attacking her emotionally. It's also in that same scene that he tells her her mother died in an asylum. In the first 30 minutes of the film, she actually tells him that her mother died when she was born and that she never knew her mother. So this is great information because if she didn't know her mother, he could make up anything about her mother. And she is now in such a state of distress and turmoil that she's not going to question it. She could easily believe that somehow he knows information about her own mother that she doesn't know. And so now he's got her thinking that this is hereditary. And so we see all these working parts coming together. He's creating the illusion that she's losing things. He's creating the illusion that she's stealing things. He's creating the illusion with the community that she's sick. And now he's creating the illusion that she really is crazy and that it's hereditary. He's attacking her from all sides and providing proof after proof after proof that this is real. With modern day gaslighting, there's not necessarily any proof. It's just, I'm going to plant the seed and hope you buy it. So it's taking months for Gregory to carry out this master plan. And in the meantime, he goes out every single night. He tells Paula that he has work to do and he can't concentrate in the house. And so he goes off to some studio somewhere. He's giving her the illusion that he's left the house, yet she is hearing somebody in the attic. And this is where, of course, the film gets its title, Gaslight. The lights at that time were powered by gas. When you turn up the gas in one area of the home, it diverts the gas away from other areas of the home, and those areas of the home then become a little bit darker. And so Paula is hearing noises in the attic and she's seeing the lights go dim, but in her mind, she knows that her husband left the house. She saw him leave. And I really have to give credit to the people who worked on the 1944 film because they really thought of everything down to the last detail, including the fact that Elizabeth the cook is hard of hearing. At one point, Paula does ask Elizabeth, did you hear those sounds? And Elizabeth goes, what sounds? See, Elizabeth isn't lying to her. Elizabeth really didn't hear anything because Elizabeth has a hearing problem. And so all of this plays into the theatrics when the victim is so panicky that, oh my God, I'm going crazy. They don't stop to think what else possibly could explain what I'm experiencing. It's just beautiful, in my opinion, just beautiful filmmaking, beautiful drama by making this character Elizabeth hard of hearing. And really, when you look at the action that takes place off stage or off camera, you could easily think to yourself, that's why Gregory hired her. He hired a cook who couldn't really hear. So that way, there's one less person to corroborate Paula's experience that she's hearing noises that are really there, but the cook can't hear them. So I just think it's another little example of the brilliance of how the filmmakers thought of everything being the brains behind Gregory. They now gave Gregory that mastermind that he selected the servants he selected for a purpose. It really is a brilliant example of old school gaslighting in motion. So there's one more character in this film that we haven't looked at yet, and that is Brian Cameron. Brian Cameron is a detective with Scotland Yard, and he seems to be the only person in town who thinks there's something weird going on over in 9 Thornton Square. Brian, being a detective, that's his nature, that's his job, to question everything. And he is basically the opposite of Paula. Whereas Paula, as I just explained, has abandoned the other possibilities, Brian doesn't rule anything out. And so he's constantly asking himself, why would he go out every night at this? Where is he going? Why does she never leave the house? She doesn't look sick to me. What's going on? I need to get inside that house. I need to talk to her myself. See, Brian is not relying on just hearsay. He's not relying on rumor or social proof. Brian wants to find out for himself what the heck is going on in that house. Brian does get into the house. He gets to talk to Paula. He tells her, I hear those noises. He tells her, I saw that light dim. You're not hearing things. You're not seeing things. I saw it too. And now she's starting to really understand, my husband lied to me. And this is one of the most important lines in the whole film, is that Paula says, I thought I was going out of my mind. And Brian says to her, you're not going out of your mind. You are slowly and systematically being driven out of your mind. And that is the essence of old school gaslighting. It's a process. It's this machine I keep talking about. It's a system of many moving parts. And so the character of Brian is incredibly important to the story. It moves the story forward. He uncovers the mystery. He explains to us, the audience, what's really been going on. But he is the one who also shows Paula that she's not imagining things. He is the one that makes us understand the importance of isolation in the gaslighting process, because as soon as Brian enters the picture, the gaslighting machine breaks down. But Brian is also very important to us, the audience, because he embodies the kind of person that we have to be in order to protect ourselves from gaslighting or any other kind of manipulation for that matter. He wouldn't settle for appearances. And too many of us settle for appearances. It seems like this is what's going on, so that's what's going on. Brian wouldn't settle for that. He didn't want to look at what seemed to be what's happening. He actually followed those little mysteries down each and every road until he found the answer. Brian was also very true to his intuition, and he didn't dismiss anything that seems odd. And when you and I are in a manipulative situation or an abusive relationship, there are many things about that abusive person that are just off, but we dismiss those things and we tell ourselves, oh, it's probably nothing. Brian wouldn't stand for that. He said to himself, there's a reason why this doesn't feel right, and he wouldn't rest until he got those answers. So he is a wonderful role model for everyone watching the film, that this is how you thwart this level of manipulation. But this is why I believe that the movie Gaslight is one of the most elaborate examples of gaslighting that you can find, because of the incredible premeditated intention and planning that went into this. That Sergius Bauer murdered Alice Elmquist in 1875, waited for the niece. He needs to get back in the house, waits for the niece to grow up and be of age where he can seduce her and marry her, follows her to Italy, becomes the accompanist for her vocal lessons, sweeps her off her feet, and convinces her to move back into that house with him. I mean, this is some high-level psychopathy that we're dealing with. And so when you watch the film again from the beginning, you see all the intricate details that went into this master plan. He can't kill her, because that's going to look suspicious since there was a murder committed there just 11 or so years earlier. So he's got to find another way to get rid of her. And he does that by making her think she's crazy so that she will willingly go along with the plan to have her institutionalized. I don't know if you're still with me at the end of this video, but if you've made it this far, congratulations. I hope that this video helps you to enjoy the film on an even deeper level. I'm Jen Guerriero, and this is Poisonous People. See you in the next video.